Step into London 1348, where the streets are less road, more swamp. You teeter on wooden pattens, those clunky raised shoes, because the ground's a stew of mud piss and worse. Every step squelches the stench clawing your throat like a living thing. Open sewers, if you can call them that, snake through alleys brimming with slop tossed from chamber pots above. Mind your head, a voice shrieks and you dodge a fresh cascade of filth splattering the cobbles. Welcome to medieval urban planning, where plumbing's a fever dream and the Thames is just a bigger sewer. You're not alone in this muck. Hawkers shove past their boots caked screaming about eels that might have swum in something unspeakable. A butcher's apprentice dumps offal right at your feet, blood mixing with the mire. Rats bold as tavern drunks dart through the mess snatching scraps. You gag, but the locals? They trudge on noses, numb to the reek. It's like they've made peace with living in a landfill. A woman in a tattered kirtle slips her basket of turnips tumbling into the sludge. She curses fishing them out and you realise this is dinner. The bizarre part: this filth wasn't just ignored, it was a lifestyle. Laws fined you for not dumping waste in the street because that's where it belonged. Imagine a city council meeting. Right lads, more slop in the lanes. By 1300 London's population was swelling, but no one thought, hey, maybe a drain nope. They doubled down, piling refuse so high it blocked doors. History. Hit mentioned streets so thick with waste you needed stilts to cross some alleys. And the smell, like death through a party, and invited mould. Yet there's a grim thrill here. You're dodging carts, sidestepping pigs, rooting in the muck, your heart racing as a horse nearly flattens you. The chaos is alive electric. A kid chucks a rotten apple laughing as it splats a monk's robe. You can't help but smirk. London's a circus and you're in the ring. But then you spot a body half buried in the mire, carted off without a glance. Plague's shadow looms and the street's pulse skips. This isn't just filth. It's a gamble with death. Sarcasm aside, you feel the human drive beneath it. These people built lives in this cesspool, loved, fought, dreamed. A man helps the turnip woman, their hands muddy but kind. Its resilience raw and reeking. Still you're glad for modern plumbing. This street's a medieval Instagram filter, gritty, unpolished and way too real. Like Cher, tell us, could you survive a day here without losing your lunch? Picture London's alleys, 1348. So narrow you could high-five your neighbour across the street if you didn't mind the stench. Houses lean inward, timber frames creaking, their upper stories nearly kissing. Down below you're dodging slop buckets, but up above, it's medieval Zoom no mute button. Neighbours yell across the gap, gossip flying faster than the rats. Oi, Margaret, your Tom's drunk again. Woman hollers, her voice cutting through the hawker's din. You flinch as a reply booms back sharp as a tavern brawl. This isn't just chit-chat, it's survival. History. Hit notes. London's 100,000 souls were packed tight houses so close you heard your neighbour's snores. Windows are open glasses for lords, so voices carry like a bad ballad. You catch snippets, a wife scolding a deal for dodgy fish, a prayer for plague victims. It's chaotic, sure, but there's a rhythm, a pulse. You're weaving through the crowd, ears ringing, when a man leans out shouting to his mate about a stolen pig. The whole alley joins in opinions louder than church bells. The weird bit, this was normal. No one thought, maybe write a note. Shouting was the internet spreading news feuds, even love. A girl blushes giggling at a lad's yelled compliment from across the way. It's sweet till a cart drowns them out, wheels grinding muck. The noise is relentless, vendors, pigs, kids all screaming. You're half deaf, yet the locals thrive, their voices a lifeline in this mad hive. It's like Twitter, but with more spit and fewer filters. There's suspense too. A yelled warning, fire in Cheapside, sends you sprinting, heart pounding as smoke stings the air. Fires spread fast here and one shout can save or doom. You glance up, seeing faces in every window, eyes wide, voices merging into a roar. It's thrilling, this raw connection, but eerie when night falls. The shouts fade and whispers of curses creep in, folklore of alleys trapping souls. You shudder hurrying past. Still, you feel the humanity. A woman shares bread with her shouting buddy across the street, their laughter warm amid the cold. They're stuck in this filthy grid, but they've got each other. You're jealous in a way modern life's quieter but lonelier. This alley's a stage, every yell a line in London's wild play. Like Cher, tell us what's the loudest neighbour drama you've heard. It's dusk in 1348 London. and you're skulking down a crooked alley, the air thick with the reek of damp straw and sin. A figure kneels at a roadside shrine, a chipped Virgin Mary staring blankly from her niche. He's a thief hood, low muttering prayers with the fervour of a monk except his hands clutch a stolen purse. History Hit tells us this was peak medieval multitasking swipe a loaf beg divine forgiveness repeat. You freeze heart thumping as he kisses the shrine's base, believing God's got his back for tonight's heist. Welcome to London's underworld, where piety and pickpocketing are bedfellows. The streets are predators' playground. Torches flicker, casting shadows that twist like spectres. You hear the thief's whispered plea, "Spare me the noose, Holy Mother," as he slips a coin into the shrine's offering box. Irony's thick here. He's robbing a tanner's shop next, but first he's hedging bets with heaven. Locals swore a quick prayer could charm fate, make a watchman blind or a victim slow. You smirk, but there's suspense in the air. One wrong step and he's dangling from Tyburn's rope. The crowd's fickle pity today, jeering tomorrow. This bizarre ritual wasn't rare. Thieves, cutthroats, even forgers hit shrines before jobs blending faith with felony like a medieval crime app. God's my alibi, they'd wager, as if a Hail Mary outranked a sheriff's blade. You watch him rise, dagger glinting under his cloak, and slip into the dark. A dog howls, and you swear the shrine's eyes follow him. Folklore whispers of cursed thieves, their souls snared by betrayed saints. You shake it off, but the chill lingers. The thrill's undeniable. You're half rooting for him, half dreading the clank of chains. London streets pulse with this dance in Prasin again. A woman hawks stolen ribbons nearby her own prayer, fresh on her lips. It's chaos, but it's human. These rogues aren't just crooks. They're dreamers betting on grace in a city that chews up hope. You spot a watchman's lantern bobbing closer and your pulse spikes. Will the thief's prayer hold, or will dawn find him swinging? Sarcasm's due, congrats, you found the medieval equivalent of thoughts and prayers before a bank job. But beneath the grit there's something raw. This thief kneeling in muck wants what you do a second chance. London's a pressure cooker, and faith's the only vent. Like Share, tell us what's the wildest risk you've taken hoping luck was on your side, London 1348, and you're jolted awake by screams and a glow like hell's front porch. Fires loose in Cheapside, devouring timber houses faster than gossip spreads. You stumble into the street, smoke stinging your eyes, the heat a fist against your skin. History. Hit notes. London's wooden maze was a tinderbox sparks from a baker's oven could torch a district. You're running now, joining a mob fleeing flames that leap like demons, their raw, drowning prayers. This isn't a city, it's kindling with a pulse. The scene's a nightmare. Houses crackle beams, collapsing in showers of embers. You dodge a falling shutter, its edges glowing red. A woman clutches a squalling child, her shawl singed. To the river someone yells, but the alleys are choked carts. Pigs panicked fools tripping over slop. The fire's alive, greedy licking at thatch roofs. You taste ash, feel the heat blister your neck. Medieval fire safety, a bucket and a prayer, and good luck with that. The bizarre truth hits fires were so common Londoners half expected them. No fire brigades, just neighbours tossing pails of Thames muck hoping God's in a merciful mood. You see a man climb a wall dousing his roof only for flames to catch his ladder. He falls cursing and the crowd gasps. Whispers of curses swirl, some say a spurned witch sparked this. You don't buy it, but the blaze feels vengeful, unnatural. Every snap of timber sounds like laughter. Suspense grips you. Will you reach the Thames or will the fire outrun you? A horse bolts past Maynolite and you flinch. The mob's a stampede, but there's humanity in the chaos. A stranger pulls you from a collapsing awning, his face smeared with soot. You're alive for now. London burns, but it fights. A monk chants knee-deep in mud as if psalms could douse hell. Spoiler, they don't. Let's be real, this is medieval urban planning's epic fail a city built to combust. But you feel the defiance people dragging chests, saving what they can. They'll rebuild, they always do. Like Share, tell us what's the closest you've come to disaster, and how do you claw back? You're elbow deep in London's market 1348, where the air's a punch of fish, rot and sweat. Hawkers bellow like they're auditioning for doomsday, their voices clawing over each other. Eels fresh as me mum, one shouts, though the wriggling pile looks like it swam in the sewer. History Hit says London's 100,000 souls throng these stalls, bartering amid filth. You dodge a cart, its wheels grinding muck as a vendor thrusts a questionable pie in your face. This isn't shopping. It's a medieval ad blitz loud enough to wake the dead. The chaos is relentless. A fishmonger's knife flashes guts, splattering your boots. You gag, but he's already yelling about cod his breath worse than his wares. Across the way, a woman hawks wilted cabbages, her pitch, drowning in a tinker's clang. It's a symphony of greed, every shout a bid for your last coin. You stumble, nearly trampled by a kid chasing a stray hen. The crowd's a beast, shoving, cursing, laughing. Imagine Black Friday, but with more mud and fewer refunds. Here's the bizarre kicker: this din was London's heartbeat. No one whispered. Survival meant out shouting the next guy. Vendors sold eels that might have flopped in the Thames sludge, yet buyers haggled like it was gold. You spot a man bite into a pie, grimacing, probably rancid, but he's too hungry to care. History. Hit notes. Markets were so packed pickpockets thrived, slipping through like ghosts. You clutch your purse, feeling eyes everywhere. A shadow moves thief or trick of the light. Suspense spikes as a fight erupts. Two vendors, red-faced, hurl insults over a stolen customer. Thieving cur one roars, brandishing a ladle. The crowd cheers, betting pennies on who swings first. You're hooked, adrenaline pumping, but there's an eerie edge. Whispers float of a cursed stall, its owner vanished after selling tainted meat. The air feels heavy, like the market's holding its breath. You shake it off, focusing on the pie man, now singing to lure you back. Sarcasm's due congrats, you've survived a medieval pop-up ad. But there's humanity here. A girl slips you a bruised apple gratis, her smile cutting through the noise. These hawkers aren't just loud, they're fighters carving lives from chaos. Your dizzy ears ringing, but alive in this mad pulse. Like Cher, tell us what's the loudest sales pitch you've dodged. You're squeezed into a London tenement 1348 where walls are thin as lies, and space is a cruel joke. The room's a coffin, 10 people, one straw mattress, the air sour with breath and damp. History. Hit says London's boom-packed families like herring houses stacked high in alleys. You're shoulder to shoulder with a tanner's brood, their snores battling the creak of timber. A baby wails and you wince. Privacy's a lord's luxury. This is medieval co-living, but it's less Airbnb, more sardine tin. Every inch screams struggle. The floor's dirt, strewn with rushes that stink of spilled ale. You shift and a splinter jabs your thigh, thanks shoddy beams. Outside, the alley's slop seeps under the door, a grim reminder of the street's filth. You hear the neighbours through the wall, a husband grumbles, a wife snaps back. History hit. Notes houses were so close you knew everyone's business. You're choking on smoke from a hearth that's more whole than fireplace eyes, stinging as embers dance. The bizarre part. This was home. Families crammed here, cooking, praying, loving all in one room. You see a woman mend a tunic by rushlight, her kids curled like puppies nearby. It's claustrophobic, yet they endure. The walls bear scratches, tallies of debts or days survived. You trace one, wondering who carved it. Whispers of hauntings linger. Some say these tenements trap souls, their groans in the night. You scoff, but the dark feels alive watching. The suspense is subtle but real. A shout outside fire thief makes you tense. One spark and this wooden cage is ash. Your trapped heart racing, but the tanner stirs muttering a prayer. His calm steadies you. There's grit here, a stubborn will to live. A girl shares a crust, her eyes bright despite the gloom. You chew, tasting resilience. Modern condos seem sterile now. Like Cher, tell us, what's the tightest space you've called home? It's midnight in London, 1348, and the air's heavy with dread like a storm that won't break. You're creeping through an alley, the Black Death's grip tightening on the city. A cart rumbles past its driver, masked piling bodies wrapped in stained shrouds. History. Hit notes. London's 100,000 souls were decimated by plague, with thousands carted to pits nightly. You smell rot sharp and cloying as a lantern swings, casting shadows that twist like wraiths. This isn't just death. It's a city haunted by its own pulse. The streets are eerie, too quiet after the market's din. You pass shuttered windows, prayers leaking through cracks, desperate jagged pleas for mercy. A woman's sob cuts the silence, her door marked with a red cross plagues inside. You hurry on, heart hammering, but the cart's creak follows relentless. History. Hit. Says survivors burned herbs, believing smoke chased death. You sniff charred rosemary, but it's a frail shield against the reek of decay. Every breath feels like a gamble. Here's the bizarre truth: plague turned London into a macabre stage. People clung to talismans, rabbit feet, saints' bones, swearing they'd cheat death. You spot a man clutching a relic, muttering his eyes wild. He thinks it saved him, but his cough says otherwise. Whispers of curses swirl, some say the plague's a demon stalking sinners. You don't believe it, but the alley's dark feels alive watching. A rat skitters, and you flinch imagining fleas that carry doom. Suspense chokes you. One wrong step, a brush against a corpse, a tainted well, and you're next. You're running now, dodging a bell ringer tolling for the dead, his clang a grim metronome. But there's humanity amid the horror. A monk kneels by a dying girl risking his life to pray. You pause throat tight as she grips his hand. London's bleeding, but it fights, mothers hide, children, neighbours share bread. Its defiance raw and fragile. Let's be real, this is medieval healthcare's epic fail, a city drowning in fear. Yet you see hopes flicker, a boy lights a candle defying the dark. You're shaken, craving a shower and a vaccine. Like, Cher, tell us what's the scariest shadow you've faced and how do you keep going? You're in a London tavern, 1348, where the air's thick with ale fumes and menace. The room's a haze of rushlight and sweat packed with dockers, smiths and rogues nursing tankards. A shout erupts, two men red-faced hurl insults over a spilled drink. History Hit says taverns were London's pressure valves, where fists flew as often as songs. You duck as a mug sails past shattering on the wall. This isn't a bar, it's a medieval fight club and you're ringside. The brawl's a spectacle. A burly tanner swings his fist cracking a weaver's jaw. The crowd roars, betting pennies on the next hit. You're shoved ale soaking your cloak as the tanner's mate joins in wielding a stool. History Hit. Notes these fights spilled into streets, knives flashing under moonlight. You glimpse a blade at a man's belt and your pulse spikes. The tavern's a tinderbox, one spark and it's chaos. Outside you hear shouts, the fight spreading like plague. The bizarre part, this was nightlife. Taverns were where Londoners drowned their woes, plague taxes, mud. Ale sour as regret fueled tempers, and brawls were as common as prayers. You watch a woman bold as brass toss a bone at a brawler laughing. She's the real winner pocketing bets. Whispers of tavern curses linger, spilled blood cools spirits, they say. You scoff, but the air feels heavy like the fight stirred something dark. Suspense grips you. Will the watchman storm in, or will knives end this? You're hooked, dodging a flailing arm, heart racing as the tanner stumbles bloodied but grinning. There's life here, wild and raw. A fiddler strikes up notes cutting through the din, and a drunk sings oblivious. You laugh despite the danger. London's mad, but it's alive. A boy sweeps up pocketing a dropped coin, his smirk pure hustle. Sarcasm's due, cheers to medieval stress relief where therapy's a right hook. But you feel the pulse. These brawlers are brothers, lovers, dreamers, spilling blood and laughter. You're jealous of their fire, craving a cold pint in peace. Like Cher, tell us, what's the wildest fight you've seen and did you cheer or run? You're in London, 1348, and the city's a fever dream of faith gone feral. Church bells clang, summoning crowds to pray in streets slick with muck. A friar wild-eyed preaches doom, from a crate his spit flying as he waves a saint's finger for sale. History. Hit. Notes London's 100,000 souls leaned hard into religion, especially post-plague buying relics, like they were Black Friday deals. You're jostled by pilgrims, their rosaries clinking as a peddler hawks a vial of holy tears. This isn't devotion, it's a medieval Etsy scam and God's the brand. The air's thick with incense and desperation. You pass a shrine, candles dripping wax like blood, where a woman kneels muttering for her sick child. Her hopes roar, but the relic she clutches, probably chicken bone. History. Hit says fake relics flooded markets, teeth, hair, even virgin's milk sold to frantic believers. You smirk, but the crowd's fervour is electric, a mix of dread and defiance. A man flagellates himself, blood streaking his back, claiming it wards off plague. You wince, stomach turning as onlookers cheer. Here's the bizarre twist, faith was currency. Londoners bet their souls on splinters of true cross, believing a saint's toenail could cheat death. You spot a merchant slip a coin to a monk for a blessed cloth, his eyes gleaming like he's cracked the stock market. Whispers of miracles swirl, some say a relic cured a leper, but others mutter of curses, relics that burn their owners. The shrine's shadow feels heavy like it's judging you. You shake it off, but the bell's toll lingers. Suspense hums. Will the friar's relic save anyone, or is plague laughing in the wings? You're caught in the mob heart racing as a thief nicks a pilgrim's purse mid-prayer. The irony's rich sin and salvation shoulder to shoulder. But there's humanity here. A girl lights a candle for her brother, her face soft despite the chaos. Faith's their anchor, shaky but real. You're cynical, craving a fact check, but their fire's contagious. Like, Cher, tell us what's the wildest thing you've believed in, hoping it'd save you. Night falls on London 1348, and the city's a beast with bared teeth. Unlit alleys twist like veins swallowing torchlight. You're hurrying home, cloak tight as history. Hit reminds us London's 100,000 souls faced cutthroats after dark with no watchman worth trusting. A scream pierces the quiet, then silence too heavy like the air's holding its breath. Your boots splash in unseen slop, and every shadow hides a blade. This isn't a stroll, it's a medieval horror flick, and you're the prey. The darkness is alive. You pass a shuttered tavern, its laughter dead, and hear a scuffle thieves or worse. History. Hit says night was lawless. Robbers slit throats for a crust. You grip a stick useless against a dagger's glint you swear you saw. A dog's growl freezes you, its eyes glowing in the gloom. Folklore whispers of spectres, murdered souls stalking these lanes. You scoff, but the wind's moan sounds like a name maybe yours. Your heart's a drum pounding too loud. The bizarre part Londoners lived this nightly gauntlet. No streetlights, just stars and prayers, yet they braved it. Merchants guarding wares, lovers stealing kisses. You spot a woman dart past clutching a basket, her glance wary but fierce. She's no victim, she's a survivor. The city's terror bred grit, a stubborn will to see dawn. You're dodging a pile of refuse when a man stumbles out drunk singing. He's easy prey, but his defiance is bold, like he's taunting the dark. Suspense chokes you. Footsteps trail you imagination, or a stalker. You're running now, breath ragged, as a church looms its doors locked. Safety's a cruel tease, but humanity shines. A boy barely 10 offers to guide you for a penny, his grin fearless. You follow grateful as he hums, dodging ruts like a pro. London's a nightmare, but its people burn bright. You're spooked, craving a flashlight and a cop. Like Cher, tell us what's the darkest night you faced and who lit your way. You're standing on the banks of the Thames, 1348, and the river's a crime scene against your nose. It's less water, more soup, thick with sewage fish guts, and God knows what dumped from London's 100,000 souls. History. Hit notes the Thames was the city's sewer carrying everything from tannery sludge to human waste. You gag the stench, a clammy fist in your throat, as a barge unloads barrels of slop right into the current. This isn't a waterway. It's medieval London's landfill flowing with regret. The scene's grim. A fisherman hauls up a net, cursing as it snags a rotting shoe. Nearby women rinse laundry in the murk, their hands raw but resigned. You spot a dead dog bobbing past, its fur slick with oil. The river's surface shimmers not with light but grease, and flies swarm like they've found paradise. History. Hit says Londoners drank this water boiled or not because wells were scarce. You shudder imagining the taste part mud part misery. A boy skips stones each plop, stirring a fresh whiff of decay. The bizarre truth, the Thames was London's lifeblood and toilet. Butchers, dyers, every trade flushed their filth here, yet folks fished, bathed and prayed by its banks. You see a priest bless the water as if words could purify this sludge. Locals believed the river cleansed sins, but whispers of curses linger. Sailors swear drowned souls haunt the tides. You don't buy it, but the water's dark churn feels alive watching. A ripple spreads unprompted and your skin crawls. Suspense grips you. One slip on these slimy banks and you're in disease eels or worse. You're backing away when a woman offers you ale brewed from this very river. Your stomach lurches, but her smile's kind, her eyes tired. She survived this cesspool raising kids on its edge. There's grit here, a stubborn spark. You decline the drink, craving a filter and a hazmat suit. Like Cher, tell us what's the foulest thing you've smelled and how do you escape it? It's fair day in London. 1348, and the city's a riot of colour and chaos. Stalls line Cheapside peddling pies and trinkets, while jugglers toss torches to a crowd of 100,000, buzzing like bees. History Hit says, fairs were London's escape, where plague and muck took a backseat to revelry. You're swept along, dodging a stilt walker, as a minstrel's lute battles a drunk slurred song. This isn't a party. It's a medieval mosh pit with pickpockets as the headliners. The madness is electric. A pig races past, chased by kids whooping like it's the Olympics. You smell roasting meat, but also the alley's ever-present stink. A vendor shoves a lucky charm in your face, probably a rat's paw, and you wave him off only to bump a fortune-teller muttering omens. History hit notes fairs were thief magnets. You clutch your coin pouch feeling eyes everywhere. A juggler's torch nearly singes your cloak and you curse, but the crowd's laughter pulls you in. The bizarre part. This chaos was joy. Londoners crushed by plague and taxes lived for these days, betting on cockfights or dancing till dawn. You watch a girl twirl ribbons, her grin brighter than the torches, but danger's close pickpockets slip through, and brawls spark like dry straw. Whispers of cursed fairs float. Some say a fiddler's tune traps souls. You scoff, but the music's wild pulse feels otherworldly, tugging your steps. Suspense hums. A shout. Thief sends the crowd surging, and you're shoved heart racing. Will you lose your purse, or worse? Yet there's life here. A baker shares a burnt bun, his wink pure mischief. These folks revel in the now spitting in fate's eye. You're dizzy, craving a quiet pub, but their fire's infectious. Like Cher, tell us what's the wildest party you've crashed, and did you dance or duck? You're in a London workshop, 1348, where the air hums with sawdust and secrets. Carpenters hammer away their guild badge gleaming like a gang tattoo. Across the street, weavers eye them muttering about a sabotaged loom. History. Hit notes. London's 100,000 souls included fierce guilds, craftsmen's clubs that ruled trades with iron fists. You smell fresh wood, but tension's thicker as a carpenter glares at a rival slipping into an alley. This isn't just work. It's medieval corporate espionage with hammers as weapons. The scene's a powder keg. A master carver inspects a chair, cursing a warped joint someone's tampered with his tools. Guilds. History. Hit says we're tight policing quality and crushing outsiders, but rivalries sparked dirty tricks, glue in looms, nails in barrels. You catch a weaver's apprentice sneaking past a vial of oil in hand. He's planning to slick a rival's floor, maybe spark a fire. You freeze heart pounding as the carpenter's shout echoes saboteur. The workshop's a chessboard, and every move's a risk. The bizarre truth guilds were London's mafia minus the cool hats. They set prices, trained apprentices, even bribed officials, all while feuding like reality TV stars. You see a guildmaster flaunt a gold chain, his swagger screaming power. But whispers of curses haunt these shops. Some say a ruined loom calls vengeful spirits. The air feels heavy tools glinting like eyes in the dark. You shrug it off, but a creaking beam sounds too much like a warning. Suspense crackles. Will the apprentice's oil spark a blaze, or will he get caught? You're dodging crates, pulse racing as a fight brews fists or worse. Yet there's grit here. An old carver teaches a boy to plane wood, their laughter cutting through the feud. These craftsmen build London nail by nail despite the chaos. You're hooked, craving a union card and a hard hat. Like Cher, tell us what's the shadiest workplace drama you've seen and who won. You're weaving through London streets 1348, where beggars crouch like shadows in the muck. A man rags hanging, thrusts a trembling hand at you, his sores glistening. History. Hit says London's 100,000 souls included the desperate some faking ailments to score arms. You toss a penny, but his limp vanishes as he scurries off classic medieval hustle. The air's sour with sweat and stale bread, and you're torn between pity and a smirk. This isn't charity. It's a gritty gig economy, and these beggars are pros. The scene's raw. A woman eyes hollow, cradles a child, her plea cutting through the hawker's din. Nearby a cripple twirls a crutch like a prop winking at a mate. History Hit notes some smeared dye on skin to mimic plague marks milking sympathy. You spot a monk slip a loaf to a girl only for her to split it with a blind man who's scanning the crowd. It's theatre, but the hunger's real plague and taxes left thousands scraping. You step over a puddle heart heavy as a dog sniffs a beggar's crust. The bizarre part? Begging was an art. Some formed gangs pooling coins while others worked solo perfecting their sob story. You see a man fake a seizure, coins raining as passers-by gasp. Whispers of cursed beggars linger, spurn them, and your luck sours. The alley's gloom feels alive, like it's judging your stingy purse. You shake it off, but a beggar's stare chills you too, knowing for comfort. Suspense hums. Will the monks spot the scam, or will the hustlers win? You're dodging a cart pulse quick as a beggar's cry turns to a curse. But there's humanity here. A boy shares his apple with a frail woman, no con in his eyes. These streets break people, yet they cling to hope. You're humbled, craving a wallet and a conscience. Like Cher, tell us what's the cleverest hustle you've seen, and did you buy it? You're in London, 1348, and the church bells are a tyrant's voice slicing through the city's chaos. Their clang jolts you from sleep, a brassy roar that drowns the hawkers and slop carts. History. Hit. Notes. London's 100,000 souls lived by these bells, marking prayer work, even panic. You're stumbling towards St. Paul's, the air sharp with frost and incense as the peals demand you kneel. This isn't a suggestion. It's medieval Siri scheduling your soul with no snooze button. The rhythm's relentless. A bell tolls for mass and you're swept into a crowd, their murmurs blending with the clanging. A merchant pauses mid-haggle, crossing himself. A beggar mutters psalms, hoping for alms. History. Hit. Says bells signalled everything. Fires, deaths. Invasions turning minutes into mandates. You hear a sharper chime, and faces pale plague deaths again. The sounds a fist squeezing your chest. You're weaving through mud, the bells echo, chasing you, each note heavy as stone. The bizarre part, bells were London's pulse binding a fractured city. They called sinners to confess, lovers to wed, mobs to riot. You see a boy ring a handbell warning of a fire. His small frame shakes with the effort. Locals believed bells drove off demons, their clang a shield against curses. Whispers say a cracked bell foretells doom, and you notice a faint discord in the peal. It's nothing you tell yourself, but the air feels wrong, like the city's holding its breath. Suspense hums. Will the next toll signal joy or disaster? You're hurrying now, pulse syncing with the bells as a monk chants nearby, his voice a frail counterpoint. But there's humanity here. A woman hums a hymn, her face calm despite the mud on her hem. These bells bind London, forging order from chaos. You're dizzy, craving silence, but their call's hypnotic, like a heartbeat you can't escape. Like Cher, tell us what sound rules your life, and how do you dance to it? You're at London's Tyburn 1348, where a gallows looms like a grim stage. A thief rope around his neck sways as the crowd of 100,000 roars, munching pies like it's a matinee. History. Hit says public executions were sport for Londoners, drawing mobs to cheer or jeer. You're shoved forward, smelling sweat and sour ale as the hangman tightens the noose. This isn't justice. It's medieval Netflix with a body count and no remote. The scene's a circus. Kids perch on shoulders pointing as the thief pleads his voice lost in the din. A vendor hawks apples, another sells last words pamphlets, fake, but who cares? History hit notes. Hangings were frequent from pickpockets to traitors, each a lesson in fear. You spot a woman weeping, maybe his kin, but she's drowned out by chance of swing. The rope creaks and your stomach lurches as the trap drops, the crowd's cheer a gut punch. The bizarre truth, death was entertainment. Londoners bet on how long the condemned would kick their coins, clinking like grim applause. You see a man toss a rotten egg, laughing as it splats. Whispers of haunted gallows swirl, ghosts of the hanged stalking Tyburn shadows. You scoff, but the rope's sway feels alive, like it's watching. The air's heavy, charged with bloodlust and something darker. Suspense grips you. Will the next neck be a stranger's or someone you know? You're pushing back, heart racing as a pickpocket. Works the crowd, thriving in the chaos. But there's humanity here, a priest prays for the dead man, his voice soft amid the jeers. London loves its spectacle, but it mourns too. You're rattled, craving a courtroom drama over this gore. Like Cher, tell us, what's the wildest crowd you've been in? And did you cheer or flinch? You're slinking through a London alley 1348 where the shadows cling like damp rot. The air's thick, sour with fear and whispered tales of witches. A woman grey-haired and bent hurries past, her eyes darting as a mob's jeer echoes from a nearby square. History hit. Notes London's 100,000 souls often blamed women for plagues or bad harvests, branding them witches. You hear her name Agnes hissed like a curse. This isn't just gossip. It's medieval council culture with stakes and fire as the penalty. The scene's electric with dread. Torches flicker, casting claw-like shadows on mud-slick walls. You pass a doorway where a man spits, muttering about Agnes's evil eye curdling his milk. History. Hit says accusations flew wild. Strange deaths, sick kids all pinned on lone women. You spot a crowd at the alley's end circling a cart where Agnes stands bound, her stare fierce despite the ropes. The mob's a beast hungry for blood, their shouts sharp as shattered glass. Your throat tightens. One word could turn their eyes on you. The bizarre truth, fear made monsters of neighbours. Londoners saw witchcraft in spoiled ale or a bad dream, and trials were mob votes, not law. Agnes might have just sold herbs, but now she's a scapegoat for a city choking on plague and filth. Whispers of cursed alleys swirl. Folk say these lanes trap souls of the accused, their cries woven into the wind. You scoff, but the air feels heavy, like Agnes's gaze carries weight. A chill crawls your spine as a raven caws too loud for comfort. Suspense chokes you. Will the mob drag her to the river, or worse, your frozen heart hammering as a boy throws a stone missing her but sparking cheers? But there's humanity here. A girl slips Agnes water, defying the crowd's roar. London's cruel, but sparks of mercy flicker. You're shaken, craving a lawyer and a lie detector. Like Cher, tell us what's the wildest rumour you've faced and how do you outrun it? You're in London's market, 1348, where merchants hawk wares like snake oil influencers. A stall glitters with relics, a saint's tooth, a splinter of the true cross, all gleaming in the sun. The seller, fat-cheeked and sly, swears they cure plague. History. Hit says London's 100,000 souls ate up fake relics fleeced by greed dressed as faith. You lean in smelling wax and lies as he pockets a widow's coin for a holy bone. This isn't trade, it's medieval eBay with scams as the top category. The hustle's brazen. A crowd buzzes haggling over a vial of martyr's blood, likely pigs dyed red. History Hit notes merchants sold chicken bones, a saint's fingers thriving on desperation post-plague. You spot a pilgrim eyes wide, clutching a cloth touched by Peter. It's just linen, but he's sold. Another vendor pushes a cursed ring, claiming it wards off thieves for a price. You smirk, but the crowd's fervour is wild, their coins clinking like applause for a con. The bizarre part, greed was gospel. Merchants banked on fear, peddling salvation to a city drowning in death. You see a man test a relic with a knife cursing when it snaps wood not bone. Whispers of divine wrath haunt these stalls. Some say fake relics summon demons. The air's thick like the market's holding a grudge. You shake it off, but the vendor's grin feels too sharp, his eyes glinting like he knows your sins. Suspense hums. Will the widow's relic save her or mark her for ruin? You're dodging a cart pulse quick as a monk calls out a scam sparking shouts. But there's grit here. A boy selling real apples splits one with a beggar no charge. London's a shark tank, but kindness swims too. You're jaded, craving a refund and a scam filter. Like Cher, tell us what's the slickest sales pitch you've dodged, and how'd you walk away? You're in London's muddy streets 1348, where kids dart through the filth like it's a playground. A pack of them barefoot and grinning chase a hoop with sticks dodging carts that could crush them flat. History. Hit notes. London's 100,000 souls included children who played amid plague and slop, turning alleys into arenas. You flinch as a boy trips splashing into a puddle reeking of waste, but he's up laughing like the muck's just paint. This isn't innocence, it's medieval parkour with death as the referee. The scene's alive, bittersweet. A girl kicks a leather ball sewn from scraps, her squeal cutting through the hawker's din. She ducks a horse's hoof unbothered while her brother hurls a pebble in a game of knights. History Hit says kids mimicked adult chaos mock battles. Fake markets, yet their joys roar, a spark in the grim. You watch them weave past a beggar, tossing him a crust they could have kept. The air's thick with smoke and rot, but their laughter's a blade slicing through despair. The bizarre truth, these kids thrived in hell. They played tag around plague carts, made toys from bones, and shrugged off rats as neighbours. You see a boy fashion a sword from a splintered plank duelling an invisible foe. Whispers of haunted games linger some say alleys, trap child spirits, their giggles echoing past dusk. You scoff, but a stray hoop rolls too far into the dark and no one chases it. The silence stings like the city's hiding something. Suspense hums. Will a cart clip them or plague steal their spark? Your tense heart, soft as a girl, falls scraping her knee. She's up giggling, but you see her limp. Yet there's humanity here. A bigger lad shares his apple, their chatter brighter than the mud. These kids are London's pulse defiant in the filth. You're choked up craving a park and a swing set. Like Cher, tell us what game got you through a rough day and who played beside you. You're at London's heart, 1348, where 100,000 souls pulse through a city that's half sewer, half miracle. The streets reek plague, carts rumble, yet a woman sings to her baby, her voice soft against the bell's clang. History. Hit says London thrived despite chaos, its people weaving love and grit into the muck. You're by a tavern watching a man help a stranger haul a cart from mud, their curses turning to laughs. This isn't survival. It's defiance, a middle finger to a city that tries to break them. The chaos hums. A market buzzes hawkers and thieves in their dance while kids chase hoops through slop. History hit. Notes London's resilience, fires, disease filth, yet it grew fueled by stubborn hearts. You see a widow barter for bread, her smile fierce as she wins a loaf. The air's heavy with ash and hope, and you're caught in the rhythm. Screams, prayers, laughter, all blending into a song. A flicker of folklore haunts the edges, tales of London's spirit, a ghost that guards its own. You shrug it off, but the city feels alive, breathing. The bizarre truth, London was a mess, but its people made it home. They loved in tenements, fought in taverns, prayed in alleys, stitching life from scraps. You watch a girl braid her friend's hair, their giggles a spark in the gloom. Plague took half yet, they build kiss dream. The suspense is quiet, will tomorrow come or will the city choke? Your rooted heart full as a baker shares his last bun with a beggar, no fanfare. There's humanity in every crack. A thief prays, a mother fights, a child plays London's heartbeat loud and raw. You're awed, craving a shower but loving their fire. This city's a wreck, but it lives, loves, endures. Like Cher, tell us, what place has your heart flaws and all, and why do you stay? You're in a 12th century English village 1190 and the air's thick with smoke and dread. A crowd circles a brazier, its coals pulsing red, heating an iron bar that glows like a demon's grin. You're accused petty theft maybe, and now you must grip that iron walk 3 paces and pray your flesh doesn't betray you. History. Hit says trial by ordeal was God's verdict. Unscarred. Hands meant innocence. Blisters meant the noose. Your palms sweat the crowd's jeers, a dull roar. This isn't justice. It's medieval Russian roulette, and you're the gambler. The iron's heat stings your face as the priest chants his voice flat like he's done this too often. You smell charred wood and fear yours mostly. The crowd clutching bread crusts watches like it's a twisted game show. History. Hit. Notes. Ordeals were common for crimes without witnesses trusting God to judge. You're shoved forward, heart hammering as the iron's handed over, its glow searing your eyes. One grasp and your fate's sealed. Whispers of divine wrath swirl, some say the fire itself speaks. You scoff, but the coals spit, and you flinch. Suspense chokes you. Will your grip hold, or will pain make you drop it? The crowd leans in, betting on your screams. You're trembling, the iron's weight, a burning promise. But there's humanity here. A woman, maybe your kin, mouths a prayer, her eyes wet. This village thrives on faith, cruel as it is. You're dizzy, craving a lawyer and a fire extinguisher. Lecture, tell us, what's the hottest mess you've faced and how do you keep your cool? It's 1190 and you're in a churchyard staring at a cauldron bubbling like a witch's brew. You're accused slander perhaps and must plunge your hand into boiling water to fetch a stone. If your skin heals in 3 days, God's on your side. If not, it's exile or worse. History. Hit says trial by ordeal turned justice into a divine lottery with crowds betting like it's Vegas. You're sweating the steam's heat, clawing your face as the crowd munches apples yelling odds. This isn't a trial. It's medieval reality TV, and you're the star. The water hisses, spitting droplets that sting like bees. A priest drones Latin, his cross glinting, while a boy stirs the pot, grinning like he's cooking you. History. Hit notes. Boiling water tested lesser crimes, but the pain was no joke. You're pushed forward, heart a-drum as the crowd chants for blood. Plunge, grab, survive, or don't. Whispers say the steam carries God's voice judging your soul. You roll your eyes, but the bubbles pop, feels too alive, too knowing. Suspense burns. Will you snatch the stone or scream and fail? You're shaking the crowd's bets, a cruel hum. But there's grit, a girl tosses you a rag, her nod fierce. Faith rules this game, brutal but binding. You're queasy, craving ice and a jury. Like Cher, tell us what's the deepest trouble you've dived into and did you surface clean? You're in a 12th century English village square 1190, pressed tight in a mob that hums with cruel glee. A man accused of theft grips a glowing iron, his face twisted in pain while the crowd of hundreds roars like it's a joust. History. Hit says, trial by ordeal was a spectacle with villagers eating and betting as the accused suffered. You're jostled, smelling sour bread and sweat as a woman chucks an apple core, cheering for blisters. This isn't justice. is medieval fight night with God as the referee. The fever's infectious. A baker waves a loaf, shouting odds on the man's screams while kids mimic his stagger giggling. History. Hit. Notes. Crowds treated ordeals like festivals wagering on divine verdicts. You flinch as the man drops the iron, his hand a raw mess sparking jeers. Coins clink someone's one big. The air's thick with smoke and malice, but there's a thrill like you're hooked on a gruesome live stream. Whispers say the crowd's bloodlust draws spirits feeding on pain. You scoff, but their cheers feel unhinged, too wild for mortals. Suspense crackles. Will he walk free or face the rope? You're caught heart racing as a boy steals a bettor's purse unnoticed. But there's humanity. A girl quiet slips a cloth to the accused, her eyes soft. This mob's cruel, but it's alive, bound by faith and spectacle. You're queasy, craving a courtroom and popcorn. Like, tell us what's the wildest crowd you've joined, and did you cheer or cringe? It's 11:90, and you're in a smoky village churchyard watching an accused poacher prep for the boiling water ordeal. His sweating eyes darting as he smears fat on his hands behind a cart, hoping to cheat the scalding test. History. Hit. Says some tried to game ordeals, coating skin to dull the burn, but discovery meant harsher punishment. You're close-smelling grease and fear as he steps to the cauldron steam curling like a snake. This isn't a trial. It's medieval high-stakes poker, and he's bluffing God. The scene's tense. The priest's gaze narrows, sensing something off, while the crowd mutters, hungry for drama. History. Hit. Notes cheaters face death if caught irony's thick. You see the poacher's hand tremble, fat glistening as he plunges it in, stifling a scream. The water hisses and your pulse spikes. Will he pull it off? Whispers of divine traps haunt the steam. Some say God sees all scorching liars. You shrug it off, but the bubbles pop like accusations. Suspense grips you. Will his trick hold, or will the priest call him out? Your rooted heart pounding as he grabs the stone-faced pail. But there's Grit, a woman. His sister nods fiercely, her faith in him raw. This village bets on pain, but loyalty lingers. You're jittery, craving a polygraph and a bandage. Like Cher, tell us what's the boldest cheat you've seen, and did they win or crash? It's 11:90 and you're in a damp village church 3 days after an ordeal by iron. The accused. A miller stands trembling, his bandaged hand outstretched as a priest peels back the cloth. The crowd holds its breath, their eyes glinting with grim curiosity. History. Hit. Says priests judged ordeal wounds, claiming God spoke through flesh-clear skin meant innocence, festering meant guilt. You smell wax and old blood, the air heavy as the priest's frown deepens. This isn't a courtroom. It's medieval CSI with salvation on the line. The miller's hand is raw, blisters weeping, and a gasp ripples through the room. The priest robe stiff with dust prods the sores, muttering Latin like a grim appraiser. History. Hit. Notes clergy held sway their verdicts, final in this divine game show. Your close heart thudding as the miller pleads, his voice cracking. The crowd split, some pity, others sneer, craving a hanging. Whispers say a cursed wound binds the soul to hell. You scoff, but the church's shadows feel alive, judging. Suspense chokes you. Will the priest see God's mercy or doom? The miller sways, and you're frozen caught in the eerie silence. But there's humanity. A woman, his wife grips a rosary, her faith fierce despite the odds. This village lives by God's word, cruelly clear. You're uneasy, craving a doctor and due process. Like Cher, tell us what's the harshest judgment you faced and who held the gavel. You're marching through a 1190 village, trailing a failed ordeal's loser, a woman branded guilty by scalded flesh. The gallows looms, rope creaking in the wind as a mob jeers, their breath sour with ale. History. Hit says failed ordeals often led to executions swift and public. Her hands are bound, her face pale, but defiant as mud sucks at your boots. The crowd's roar is a beast hungry for death. This isn't punishment. It's medieval theatre, and the noose is the star. The scene's brutal. A drummer beats a grim rhythm, kids darting to gawk at her tattered shift. History. Hit notes. Hangings were warnings etched in fear. You're shoved, smelling damp earth and terror as she climbs the scaffold, eyes scanning for mercy, none comes. The rope's knot is thick, final. Whispers of ghosts haunt the gallows souls, snared by unjust ropes. You shrug it off, but the wind's howl sounds like her name. Suspense claws you. Will she speak or drop in silence? You're rooted, heart racing as the hangman pulls the lever. But there's humanity, a boy, her son sobs unseen by the mob. This village devours its own, yet love lingers. You're sick, craving a pardon and a time machine. Like Cher, tell us what's the darkest end you've witnessed, and how do you carry on? You're in a 12th century village square, 1190, where steam rises from a cauldron used for an ordeal curling like ghosts in the dusk. A woman accused of heresy just pulled her hand from boiling water, her skin red but stoic. The crowd murmurs eyes wide as history. Hit notes ordeals bred folklore with tales of divine wrath woven into the steam. You smell wet earth and fear the air heavy with whispers of spirits judging her soul. This isn't just a trial. It's a medieval ghost story and God's the author. The scene's eerie, torches sputter, casting shadows that twist like accusations. A crone in the crowd swears the steam forms faces saints or demons she can't tell. History. Hit says villagers saw ordeals as cosmic theatre, where God's will spoke through pain. Your close heart thudding as the woman stands tall, her gaze defiant. Some say a true heretic's steam traps their soul, cursing the square. You scoff, but the mist swirls, brushing your neck like a cold finger. Suspense hums. Will her wounds heal, or will the folklore claim her? You're frozen, the crowd's chants a low drone as a child clutches a cross trembling. But there's humanity, a man, her brother whispers encouragement, his voice soft against the mob. This village thrives on fear, but love defies it. You're spooked, craving a flashlight and a skeptic's guide. Like Cher, tell us what's the creepiest tale you've heard, and did it keep you up? It's 1190 and you're in a quiet village church days after an ordeal's grim end. A man guilty by blistered hand hangs buried at the crossroads, his fate sealed by divine test. History. Hit says ordeals cost lives and faith binding villages to a brutal god. You're alone, smelling damp stone as candlelight flickers over a worn altar. The silence is heavy like the toll of a justice that burned more than flesh. This isn't closure. It's medieval reckoning with humanity as the price. The cost lingers. Families mourn, others gloat their faith unshaken despite the blood. History. Hit notes. Ordeals faded after 1215, but their scars shaped trust and fear. You trace a crack in the pew, imagining the accused thieves, lovers, dreamers judged by pain. Whispers of restless souls haunt these walls, their pleas trapped in the rafters. You shake it off, but the air feels thick like grief never left. Suspense fades, replaced by weight. Who else paid for this truth? Your still heart heavy as a widow kneels nearby, her prayer fierce for her lost son. Faith drove this cruelty, yet it binds her now. You're sombre, craving fairness and a world less blind. Like Cher, tell us what's the steepest price you've seen for justice and who paid it. You're in a 14th century English apothecary's dim shop 1370, where a patient lies pale, his arm a writhing mass of leeches. Dozens cling their glossy bodies, pulsing as blood trickles like ink. History. Hit says medieval doctors used leeches to balance humours, treating everything from fever to heartbreak. You're close-smelling damp earth and iron as the leeches suck each bite a tiny cold sting. This isn't medicine. It's a vampire buffet, and you're grimacing at the guest list. The scene's grotesque. The patient, a tanner, groans his eyes glassy, while the apothecary hums, plucking a fat leech to reposition it. History Hit notes leeches were applied in swarms believed to purge bad blood. You watch one detach, bloated, rolling into a jar with a wet plop. Your stomach lurches, but the tanner sighs, swearing he feels lighter. Whispers say leeches draw out evil spirits, their hunger holy. You scoff, but the shop's shadows flicker, like the leeches know more than they let on. Suspense crawls. Will he faint or worse before the cure? You're tense, heart racing as a leech inches toward his wrist. But there's humanity, a girl, his daughter wipes his brow, her touch soft. This era clings to hope, however grim. You're queasy, craving antibiotics and a scrub brush. Like Cher, tell us what's the creepiest fix you've endured and did it work? You're in a 14th century physician's chamber, 1370, where shelves gleam with jars of leeches, each a slimy trophy. The doctor, bearded and smug, lifts one like it's a fine jewel, boasting how it cured a knight's gout. History Hit says leeches were prized, kept like pets by healers who swore by humoral balance. You smell mildew and wax the air thick as he shows off a wriggling specimen. This isn't science. Is medieval flexing with leeches as the bling? The display's absurd. He opens a jar and leeches squirm, their sheen catching candlelight. History. Hit. Notes physicians treasured these surgeons, feeding them blood to keep them lively. You're offered a closer look, hard pass as he brags of a baron who paid gold for a leeching. His pride's infectious, but the jar's glint feels eerie like they're watching. Whispers say leeches carry patients' sins, a doctor's secret burden. You roll your eyes, but the room's chill lingers. Suspense hums. Will his boasts hold, or will a patient's death tarnish his jars? Your uneasy heart ticking as he seals the lid. But there's grit, a nurse quiet tends a leech bit, man, her care real. This era's mad, but it tries. You're sceptical, craving a lab and a license. Like, Cher, tell us what's the proudest quack you've met and what were they selling? You're in a 14th century English village, 1370, inside a dimly lit hut, where a woman lies, leeches crawling across her fevered skin. The air's heavy with the iron tang of blood and the low hum of a healer's chant. History hit. Says medieval folk believed leeches sucked out evil spirits along with bad blood purging sins to cure the soul. You watch a leech pulse, its glossy body swelling as she sighs, claiming relief. This isn't healing. It's a medieval exorcism with worms as priests. The scene's unsettling. The healer, a gaunt woman, whispers prayers, her fingers deft as she places another leech. History. Hit. Notes. Patients felt cleansed after leeching convinced spirits fled with their blood. Your close stomach twisting as blood drips into a clay bowl dark as ink. The woman's eyes flutter, half delirious, murmuring thanks to God. Whispers say leeches trap spirits in their bellies, cursed to writhe forever. You scoff, but the hut's shadows flicker like something's listening. Suspense coils tight. Will she rise purified or fade under the leech's hunger? Your tense heart thudding as a leech detaches bloated. But there's humanity. A boy, her son, holds her hand, his faith fierce despite the gore. This era's desperate, clinging to hope in slime. You're queasy, craving a priest and a pill. Like Cher, tell us what's the strangest cure you've trusted, and did it save or haunt you? London 1348, and you're jolted awake by screams and a glow like hell's front porch. Fires loose in Cheapside, devouring timber houses faster than gossip spreads. You stumble into the street, smoke stinging your eyes, the heat a fist against your skin. History. Hit. Notes. London's wooden maze was a tinderbox sparks from a baker's oven could torture district. You're running now, joining a mob fleeing flames that leap like demons, their raw, drowning prayers. This isn't a city, it's kindling with a pulse. The scene's a nightmare. Houses crackle, beams collapsing in showers of embers. You dodge a falling shutter, its edges glowing red. A woman clutches a squalling child, her shawl singed. To the river someone yells, but the alleys are choked, carts, pigs panicked fools tripping over slop. The fire's alive, greedy, licking at thatch roofs. You taste ash, feel the heat blister your neck. Medieval fire safety. A bucket and a prayer, and good luck with that. The bizarre truth hits fires were so common Londoners half expected them. No fire brigades, just neighbours tossing pails of Thames muck, hoping God's in a merciful mood. You see a man climb a wall, dousing his roof only for flames to catch his ladder. He falls cursing, and the crowd gasps. Whispers of curses swirl, some say a spurned witch sparked this. You don't buy it, but the blaze feels vengeful, unnatural. Every snap of timber sounds like laughter. Suspense grips you. Will you reach the Thames, or will the fire outrun you? A horse bolts past main alight, and you flinch. The mob's a stampede, but there's humanity in the chaos. A stranger pulls you from a collapsing awning, his face smeared with soot. You're alive for now. London burns, but it fights. A monk chants knee-deep in mud as if psalms could douse hell. Spoiler, they don't. Let's be real, this is medieval urban planning's epic fail, a city built to combust. But you feel the defiant people dragging chests, saving what they can. They'll rebuild, they always do. Like Cher. Tell us what's the closest you've come to disaster, and how'd you claw back? You're elbow deep in London's market, 1348, where the air's a punch of fish, rot and sweat. Hawkers bellow like they're auditioning for doomsday, their voices clawing over each other. Eels fresh as me mum, one shouts, though the wriggling pile looks like it swam in the sewer. History. Hit says London's 100,000 souls throng these stalls, bartering amid filth. You dodge a cart, its wheels grinding muck as a vendor thrusts a questionable pie in your face. This isn't shopping. It's a medieval ad blitz loud enough to wake the dead. The chaos is relentless. A fishmonger's knife flashes guts, splattering your boots. You gag, but he's already yelling about cod is breath worse than his wares. Across the way, a woman hawks wilted cabbages her pitch, drowning in a tinker's clang. It's a symphony of greed, every shout